All right. Hello, everybody. This is a live stream for the Online Growth Systems team. My name is Dick Polipnick, and today we have Scott Millard, who is our Associate Creative Director here on the team. He handles a lot of the creative that you see on our, not only our clients' channels, but on our own channels too. So he manages our own Online Growth Systems brand. So Scott, are you excited to be here today for the live stream?
Of course I'm excited. We're going to talk about some amazing things that no one seems to have really talked about yet, actually. So, which is surprising given how much people are using what we're going to talk about today, including both of us right now.
Right now.
Should we leave them on the edge of their seat?
I think now is the good time to drop the topic. So Scott, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about virtual backgrounds and the do's, the don'ts, how they work and everything today. So yeah, it's going to be great.
So we're going to be touching on we're going to be doing this in multiple phases. So step one, we're going to be talking about the basic mechanics of why you should do it, the business reasons. And then secondly, Scott's going to do a little screen share. He's got a little presentation and he's going to show you the mechanics of how it works on the technical side, the back end. So that way, when you understand how it works from a technical perspective, you can, leverage it the best. Frankly, and have better meetings. You can have a better outcome. You can have better outline. So you can see the shape is very crisp. It only doesn't work if I wave my hand like this. That's because I'm not using a green screen. Now, if I had a really good camera, like a DSLR hooked up to the live stream here, right now we're just using MacBook Pro webcams with no green screen, and the background looks very crisp around my head, around my shoulders. I even have a podcast microphone that is being cut out of frame where it's the least relevant you can see. So Scott, after that, the third part is going to be, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you guys all how you can do custom branding on your own virtual background. So you can see here, we've got the Online Growth Systems brand in my top corner and it's Scott's as well. So
this is mirrored.
Right. All right. So with that note, we're going to dive right into it. We're first going to verbally talk about it. Scott, why do you think virtual backgrounds, I should say professional virtual backgrounds, are important?
Well, for one, you said it yourself, it's free branding essentially. I mean, I suppose Zoom is paid for, but it's a great way to, think about it. If you're in, I mean, Dick, we've been in meetings before with, I think our max meeting, we were in a meeting with like 30 people or something one time for a client. So it's a great way to keep everyone on the same page of maybe, who's working for what. And it's also a great way to show your own personality, your own style. As you see, even Dick and I, even though we have the same Online Growth Systems logo, we have different backgrounds. So it's a way to make calls more engaging too. I think we've all had the moment or two or 100 since this whole thing started, that calls can be boring sometimes. So we're going to try to make them more fun, and this presentation will hopefully be fun as well.
Yeah. And there's a time and a place for the professional office setting like Scott and I both have. And Scott, let's see who can race to set up their funsy background first. So first you go to under the bottom, I'll kind of explain what I'm doing. So you go to the bottom left where your video icon is, you click the little upward caret icon, and then you click on change virtual background. So you should be on backgrounds and filters, and then you can switch between the San Francisco Bridge. You could be in A Bug's Life, or you could make fun of some of our friends. Like this is our friend Tyler Olson, one of our clients, and it's his birthday today. So we thought we would make fun of him during our call today. Or if you're having a family Zoom meeting because everybody's in a pandemic, you can get a legacy photo from 10 years ago of one of your younger brothers who currently has his own car and is driving age now, but one of his good YouTube videos that I screenshotted. So and then this is a fan favorite as well. So I think I'll rock that for a little bit. But
I've just got Vail going on in my background.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. I don't want to keep people waiting too long. They probably want some actual valid information here.
Yeah, let's do it. So if you want to share your screen, and then we'll go into the mechanics.
Cool. So yeah, I've got a quick presentation for you guys to kind of outline everything we got going on. So we want to figure out the first thing we want to figure out is how that virtual backgrounds work. So what are the actual mechanics behind virtual backgrounds? It's fairly straightforward. you can get as technical as you'd like, but we're going to keep it simple. There's two main things at play, and the first of which is contrast. So if you notice, just looking at my pretty face here and Dick's pretty face, Dick actually has way better lighting than me right now. So don't call me a hypocrite, but you'll see the lighting is perfectly symmetrical on his face. The highlights of his face and his facial structure are very, I wouldn't call them flat, but they're very like, however you would describe it. Whereas mine on my video is mirrored. I can't figure this out. Whereas the light on this side of my face is much more harsh, and it's actually because there's windows right here. So you're going to want to lean more towards something like what Dick is doing. And he actually has two, what you'd call key lights that are on his face with soft boxes to give him that effect. If you're going to be somewhere in a coffee shop or somewhere where most people are, your face is probably going to look like mine. I've gone ahead and closed a couple of the blinds. So sometimes if you have control over your environment, you can do stuff like that to help you out. But that's the first thing, is going to be contrast. So the virtual backgrounds pick up on contrast in terms of just straight up light. So moving on, here's an example. This is a picture I took this weekend actually of good and bad exposure. So on the good exposure side, which is going to be closer to what Dick has, you can see that it's easier to see the lines, facial structure and shadows are more defined. And then on the bad side, it's going to be harder for the software to pick up where your face and your hands and everything are if you're if you're exposed more on this side. As you can see, you can still see fine to the human eye, but if you look at things like the shoes and stuff like that, it's going to be harder for your camera and the software to pick that up. So that's the first thing to keep in mind, is making sure you have good lighting. The second thing is what we call chroma key. So that's going to be color. And this is where green screens come into play. So Zoom, I believe it's Zoom, actually recommends, if you look up on their support articles on how virtual backgrounds work, they actually recommend, the number one recommended thing to do is actually have a green screen. It's totally not necessary, but if you want your virtual backgrounds, if that's something that's super important to you, maybe you have like 10 client calls a day or something, it might be worth looking into something like that on Amazon, where you could just get a pop-up one. It doesn't have to be expensive. But Zoom software does indeed pick up on chroma keying. I'm not sure about, I don't think Google Meets does. It's not, the software is not as robust, but that's just something to think about. And then I have two examples for chroma keying as well. The bad example on the left side, obviously she's wearing a green blazer and you can't even see her shirt. And then on the right side, on the right side, we have this funny joke from this guy. This is a great example of a good chroma key. The hue of the green, or the shade of the green screen in the background, matches the shade of his morph suit here. And then if you look, it's kind of cut off, but on the right side, you can see that it's so good, you can't even see his body. It just looks like he's a skeleton. So that's what we're going for when it comes to chroma keys. So how can you make your virtual background look good? And what are the basics of that? So I did a little experiment here. Here's me this morning with a horrible example. You can barely see me. There's a ton of noise on my image. The outline of the outline's actually not horrible, but my thumb is completely cut off. And you have like all this fuzz and stuff. Noise is what happens. This pixelated look is what happens when, not just when it comes to virtual backgrounds, but when you have an image that's underexposed, it's going to pick up some more of that noise. Whereas the good example, here we are, thumbs up.
Go back to one slide, Scott. I want to point out something on the top right. You can even
and then this as well, yeah.
Yeah, so the Zoom profile was actually falsely picking up one of Scott's, like a pillar behind him or a window ledge.
This is actually, this example was on Google Meets.
Okay,
gotcha. For anyone wondering, I forgot to mention that. But yes, my Zoom panel is covering this up. This is probably the worst part, is this floating pane of glass right here, and you'll see why that is in a second. But the second example, much better. You'll see that pillar is completely gone. You can actually see my face. It's still a bit noisy. That's kind of has to do with the webcam, but just overall looking a lot better. And I'm smiling. So make sure to do that on Zoom as well. The next thing we're going to get into here is guessing which side was which. So if you remember in the first example, it looked super dark. That was what I took right here. You'll notice there's barely any lights on in this room. The sun is, if you can see the reflection on this chandelier type thing, the sun is just starting to come up behind me. So it's not well lit whatsoever. And then all I did to fix the issue was move to a different spot in the room and turn some lights on. So if you have power over that, if you're at home, I would highly recommend just turning on as many lights as you can, getting into some natural light if you have that option. I didn't during this, obviously, but turning on all of these lights made all the difference. And then when it comes to backgrounds, this was the background of each one. So you'll see not only was it dark on this side in front of me, but like I said, the sun wasn't even up yet. And this was that floating pillar because you have the light coming from the front hitting the pillar, and then there's not enough light or there's not enough light coming through the back for the software to recognize that you don't want to show that pillar because it's highlighted. So that's why that happened. And then you'll see over here, this just serendipitously happens to be green. That's not actually why, I don't believe why it worked better from my professional opinion, but you have a flat, consistent background right here. I would really try to avoid windows like I did here. I did this on purpose so you can see how bad it was. But yeah, so that's the difference between the two, is really just making sure you have natural light and a lot of light. Try to avoid windows behind you, have a flat, consistent image behind you. There's also, I've seen like wallpapers behind people that doesn't work very well. But yeah, it's fairly straightforward.
And I think
And
if you
then,
go back to that last slide,
yeah,
I don't think that the different streaming services or virtual meeting softwares will use chroma key and use green screen backgrounds unless you tell it that you're using a green screen background. So I think that just validates how important your lighting is, that it didn't even consider the green wall behind you. I think you even were wearing a green shirt, because if you were using a green shirt and chroma key, that it actually might have had a little bit of trouble differentiating between your shirt and the background.
yep.
So that's just validating what Scott's saying, that the lighting is essentially the only difference that he made in the bad photo versus the good one.
Yep. And to go off that quickly too, the reason green screens work is because it's the least natural. Like, this is not a natural color at all, this like neon green on the right here. So if you're going to go that route, just make sure there are other options. Like, if you love wearing green, get a blue screen. Just the issue with that is there's a lot more blue that naturally occurs than green does. But you do have options. And at the end of the day, if you want to go with like a black background, who cares? Like, you can do whatever you want. So I just don't think the virtual backgrounds will work as well for that. But how can you make yours look good? We went over that. And then how do you upload your own? So you can actually upload, like we were mentioning earlier, you can upload your own to each individual platform. The first option here, we have Google Meet. So this is what you're on the left side here. This is what you're going to see when you open up Google Meet. You're going to want to go ahead and click on these three dots down here, and this will pop this menu up, which you will then go to change background. And then that will pop this sidebar up, and you can see that it gives you all of these generic options. This one's my favorite one by far. And then to actually add your own, you click this plus sign. And then there's other options, like you can go with no background, you can slightly blur your background, you can fully blur your background. So those are options as well. And then to change it on Zoom, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up your Zoom profile. So you'll get this little box here. It's cut off on the left here, but I might as well just see if I can show you guys this live time. We'll change my screen share here. We'll open up to the desktop. So you'll see this window here, right? When you open up Zoom, you're going to want to go to settings, and then you'll see all of these, and then you go to background and filters, and you'll see that I have all these right here, all ready to go. So, yeah, I mean, it's fairly straightforward when you're trying to add your own. Oh, sorry, I guess I didn't go over how to add your own. That's just how to change it. You can hit the plus right here, and this will allow you to upload whatever you want.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. And then here's a fun note to end on. A couple backgrounds to make your coworkers jealous. And please don't sue me. These are from Google Images. So we've got a nice apartment here with the Tom Ford in the background for all you sophisticated people out there. And then we have some abstract stuff here. And then if anyone else likes skiing or mountains or whatever, we got some of this right here. So feel free to mix it up and have some fun with it. But that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks a lot, Scott. And you can see there's Scott's little bio there and with some of his skill sets. And I want to preface, and this is actually we're going to be taking the webinar next, is you don't have to be proficient. You don't have to not only be an expert, you don't have to be proficient at all. You don't even have to have Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or Lightroom downloaded on your computer to customize your own backgrounds. So just because Scott's proficient and an expert in those tools doesn't mean that you have to do that. So next, I'm going to be showing you how beginners can use stock footage or stock image. So this is actually a picture of an office that we have a license for. You know, you pay a couple $100 and then you can use the photo commercially, you know, in perpetuity. At least that's what this particular photo's license deal was.
And we're not attorneys, but theoretically, if you're using it for personal purposes and you're not spreading it across your company or using it for, like Dick said, commercial purposes, you can do this for free. So don't let the $200 price tag scare you. But
right, yes, yeah, you can use free. I mean, really, you could take a picture of your own office, honestly. And you know, if you're still in quarantine, see if you can find one. I'll always go in there with the mask, and when nobody else is in there, take a picture, and then you can upload it. So next, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to be showing you how to create your own. All right. So can you see whoops, is it sharing the right screen there?
yep.
Scott?
Yeah, you're all good to go.
Awesome. So this is Canva. So the first thing you're going to go to is canva.com. That's canva.com. And you can create a free account. And with Canva, you can upload different pictures. So here we have a couple. These are our team defaults. So every person that works for Online Growth Systems has these in their Zoom account profile. They pick their favorites and use them during meetings. So our typical signature gradient, just a plain white. This is kind of like that Photoshop or photo shoot background for events. You know, the step and repeat logos. This is the one that Scott was using earlier. And this is the one that I'm currently using. So the key to making these, number one, look more realistic and more professional, and number two, customized, I will show you. So first we're gonna go to add page. So we're just gonna create this, and the settings you're gonna wanna use is just like a YouTube thumbnail. That's the size settings you're gonna do, which I think is 1820 by 7, or what is it, Scott?
I should have it off the top of my head, but let me double check for everyone watching.
Here, I've got it right here. So if you look at it, the YouTube thumbnail defaults are 1280 pixels by 720 pixels. So this is width, this is height. And that is your typical screen size, or what video size is normally considered. So those rectangles that you see everywhere on the internet. And we're not talking like vertical alignment for phone. This is using a laptop to have a team meeting. So we have a blank canvas here. So you can go to photos. So we have a subscription, for Canva for our employees that are not proficient in Photoshop, like myself. So then you can type in something here. Let's say, for example, I want to say office. So now I've got a couple of options, or you can even see one right there. So let's use this one. Normally I'd like one that was maybe a little higher up, because you can see this doesn't look natural for you to be looking at the floor. Like, you don't normally see people's feet in a meeting like that. This one is probably more what we're looking for. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to stretch it across the frame. Looks like it's not going to reach all the way across, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of stretching. So pretty slick, pretty simple. Make sure that it's covering all the corners. So you don't want any blank spaces. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to effects. So you can see here, there's background remover. That's a paid tool, I think. But so if we go to, where's the, oh no, I'm sorry. That is not what you're going to click on. So you're going to click on this right here. Man. Okay, we're going to get creative. So here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to take elements. Just take a blank square, stretch across, make sure it fits. Now we're going to change this color, this block color, to white. And then we're going to go up to transparency in the top right. And we're going to go to like maybe 9. Maybe we make this a little darker.
For all the people watching, if you need a creative director, let me know, because I think Dick just took my job.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the free version. And then normally we would have Scott create these, but I'm showing you how everyday people like myself who are not design experts can make these. Now it looks a little more blurry. It just looks a little bit more professional. You can see
You can
here.
also add what's called Gaussian blur to it as well. I honestly don't know how to do it in Canva, but
Under just
probably under
blur.
effects.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Go to adjust and you go to the blur. That's even too aggressive. 3 looks about right. We're gonna have a blur of 3, so that way you are in focus, but your background is slightly blurred behind you. Because if you look at Scott's right now, he's it's got crystal clear on crystal clear, so you can kind of tell that it's fake, right?
And if you do get any fall off, the blur will make it less obvious.
Mm-hmm. So if you can see where this teal outline is, this is that white block that I had made and made it semi-transparent. So you can kind of see as I bring it across, it's making it lighter. So it's doing a false sense of that lighting effect that Scott was talking about earlier. So now we've got a brighter background with a professional office setting that's slightly blurred. So it looks like you're using a professional camera, even though you're really only using your webcam on your laptop or your, Logitech or something like that. Next, you're going to upload your, logo. Let's see where ours is even stored. This is what happens when you don't.
You can also, if people follow you on Twitter, sell that badge.
So now I'm going to take this, stretch it to be the size that I want. And we're going to have it be that big. You don't have to put it up in this corner. It can be in any corner, really. I recommend either top left or the top right optimally. But if you have a different logo, let's say something that's more circular like this.
And if you hate seeing your face flipped, all you have to do is put the logo on the other side and horizontally reflect it so that you don't have to flip it inside the Zoom software.
We're going to click on this flip button. We're going to say flip horizontally. Now we're going to take it over here. We're going to delete this for now. And now it looks backwards from here, but when you upload it to Zoom, right now, when I'm pointing right here, this is actually my right side. Scott, what side does it look like from your perspective?
Left.
Left. So when I'm reading this logo, it's actually left to right. It looks backwards to me, but to everyone else, it looks the right way. So this is actually what you can kind of tell. So these ones are normal, but this is how mine are set up in my laptop. So that is how you can take a licensed or even your own photo. So look at if you took a picture of like a really cool, you're on a hike, you can upload it, blur it a little bit. If you want to make it brighter, you can add just a blank sheet of white color and then add transparency to it to make a brighter room. And then just add your logo. and then you simply click download, make sure it's PNG format, and then you download the file, and then you go through the upload process that Scott taught earlier. So with that, Scott, do you have any questions? You think I missed anything? Any room for improvement on what I talked about?
No, it's a great way to have fun with your coworkers.
Awesome. Cool. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We hope that you learned how to use a Zoom virtual background without using a green screen, make it more professional, have more fun. And frankly, it helps you close more deals. If you're a salesperson, it helps you look more professional if you're representing a company or a firm, and you can have more fun with your team.
We have also done that. We've actually customized virtual backgrounds to clients' logos and things we've designed for them and put them on during our calls. So it's another idea for you.
Let's show them what it is, Scott. Sorry. Put some water there.
Yep.
So if you're thinking of the one I'm thinking of, I'm going to go like this. I'm assuming you're going to do similar. So if you want to maybe move your head a little bit so they can see the logo of the one. So we both, so we work a lot with Minnesota Rocker. And a couple months ago, we had a couple of meetings with them. So we designed our backgrounds to be themed for the partner. So that's another way that you can establish relationships, build rapport. And yeah, there you go. There you have it. Thanks for mentioning that, Scott. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have any needs and if you want a professional to do this for your company, for your team, feel free to reach out to us at onlinegrowthsystems.com, and you can apply to work with us and the rest of our clients. And assuming Scott's not completely packed on his schedule, if you want to snag him, it's a first come, first served basis, but likely it'll be somebody that he's managing. So he'll still have his creative input. But awesome. That's it for me. Scott, any final words?
No, thanks for coming if you're watching this.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. And if you have any questions about how to do this, feel free to leave comments in the repost of this webinar live stream. We'll be happy to monitor those questions for the next few months and answer them. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to us on our website. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in.